Hey, what's going on, guys? Trucker Chris here, and today's video is going to be where the hell did I go, what's going on, and what's going to be happening with the channel. So stick around to find out. Alright guys, Trucker Chris here, and as you heard in the intro, talk about where I've been. So last year was a pretty hard year for me in general. A lot of things had happened throughout the year that just kind of really kicked my butt and was not a fun year in general. And to pile on top of all that, Crete was starting to really go downhill big time. I've read a few comments of drivers who've been there for 15, 16 years, and they have had the same thing that's going on with me. And just generally what ended up happening was freight was okay, then we were in a moderate freight shortage, and then we went from that to a massive freight shortage. And I don't know if it's so much of a freight shortage when it comes to Crete, or if it's just hiring too many drivers for the production that we had. We would just hire drivers left and right. I mean, as soon as the truck would empty, you'd have one empty truck, they'd hire 3 drivers. And so we'd have an overabundance of drivers and not enough freight going. And so that was really hitting all of us hard, because we're kind of like, what the hell, dude? And so I went from making, 12 to 15 a week down to making 600 or 700 a week. And on the back of my mind, there was a lot of times where I was thinking, well, maybe I'll come back and do local work. Maybe I'll leave Crete and find something else to do. And I thought about it quite a bit. I was trying to hold on because, you keep hearing it's going to get better, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. Well, during the week, I think it was the first or second week of November, I can't remember exactly what it was, I'd made a video, I think it was a short, of me backing into a dock right off the street in Chicago. And that was actually my last week with Crete. And what ended up happening was, at that point, I was already out for 3 weeks, and I was due home by the end of that week. And so it wasn't necessarily due home by the end of the week. I was actually due home while I was doing that load, but they'd asked me to stay out because they didn't have anything going on. So I was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. I don't have any plans. And so I figured, if I stay out a little bit longer, that what I could end up doing was just do that, go back out for 2 or 3 weeks at the most, and then come back the week of Thanksgiving and have 4 or 5 days off. And that was the original plan. Well, things had just kind of spiraled downhill from there. They were supposed to get me a load out of Chicago to go home, and that load got canceled. So I was like, all right, yeah, shit happens. Welcome to being a truck driver. So they sent me from Chicago back to Nebraska to go pick up a load, or go take a load over there, and then pick up a load, take it to Texas. When I got over there, I said, well, we don't have anything coming out of Nebraska to go to Texas. I'm like, well, what about Crete? Crete, Nebraska, there's a big dog food plant out there that tends to go down to Dallas. Well, apparently they weren't shuttling any loads down there. So I was like, all right, cool. So I sat in Lincoln for two days, and then they sent me back from Lincoln to Chicago. So it's like, all right, whatever, y'all have something going out of Chicago, which is fairly normal, at least have something going south, either all the way down to Texas, or at least Arkansas, generally Joplin, Missouri, which out of Missouri, there's a place in Harrisonville that always goes down to Dallas. So I was like, there's going to be something, no big deal. And went over there, and they said, well, we actually don't have a load for you over there. We'll bring you back to Nebraska. And I'm going, what are y'all doing, So went back to Nebraska again, and this time I was in Omaha, and I did a T-call in Omaha on a load that had a 5-day delivery window, and it took me the better half of all day to go from Chicago to Omaha. And I had straight up told them, I'm not sitting on this load for 5 days. I'm not going to sit here and do nothing for 5 days and not get paid while sitting on a load that I only did 400 miles with. And they ended up letting me T-call it there. Got another load that they wanted me to take to Denver. And at this point, my first question was, do you have anything coming out of Denver to justify me going over there? Do you have anything, whether it be going south, west, or something? And they were looking, they said, we have nothing coming out of Denver. then why the hell would I go to Denver? So I rejected every load that went over there, and finally got to the point where they were able to make a whole entire plan on basically getting me to Chicago and then down from there. The Iowa 80 truck stop video that I did was actually the beginning of that whole week is when I recorded that video. And by the end of that week, I was frustrated, I was pissed, and there was going to be no way I was going to be able to make a video and be sane, not sane-minded, but be okay to not just be upset. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to make a video yet. I had a few videos planned out, and a couple of them were going to be like pre-planning, trip planning, stuff like that. And so at that point, I decided when I get back home, I'm going to call Wilmer. I'm putting my resignation in because I'm tired of this. And it was something that me and my girl had talked over, and we both agreed with it that, look, I'm not making the money. I'm spending money being out on the road, because it's not only if I eat out on the road, I'm buying food for my truck and the house at the same time. And not like I'm buying a metric butt ton of food for my 18-wheeler, but it's still buying food for my truck nonetheless. And I'm having to make sure that I plan at least 2 weeks ahead of time, and then during the winter time, you always want to make sure you have extra, extra water, canned soup, stuff like that to eat cold if God forbid something happens. And so I just got to the point where I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And so I left. And I had a job lined up to go work at in my hometown that I live in. And I worked there the week of Thanksgiving, 3 days, and then was immediately laid off. And what ended up happening was the company was in the middle of a buyout. They got bought out. Somebody did not either pay the insurance in the middle of the buyout, or the insurance dropped us in the middle of the buyout, which caused us to go without insurance on all the trucks. And insurance, since we weren't able to drive the trucks, our biggest contract holder said, you guys aren't fulfilling the contract, we're pulling it from you. And you're talking probably somewhere around $100 million a year contract that was pulled from us, and that basically made the whole company just fall apart. So we were laid off, and then the company immediately closed. So I was like, great. So now I'm without a job. So to add to all that, what ended up happening was we lost the apartment because we just didn't have a backup plan. And luckily it wasn't an eviction. It was we were supposed to renew. And at the time I was like, there's no way I can afford to renew because I don't have a job right now. So I ended up doing Uber and Lyft, stuff like that. And, it was all right. The Austin area is a decent place to do it. It's not the best place, but it's decent. So I did that basically through the end of the year, because not a lot of people were hiring towards December. And a lot of the places that were hiring were, we want to pay you $14 an hour to drive a dump truck, or we'll pay you $17 an hour to drive an end dump. And I'm like, dude, screw that. I'm not doing that, And I understand a job's a job, but I'm not going to do that. Go work at a job for 2 or 3 months and then quit that job again. I'm trying to make my resume look at least nice, and I don't want a bunch of job hopping on there. And so, towards the end of December, I actually got a hold of an old company that I used to work for and called them up. Luckily, they had an open position, brought me in, and I am now here doing that locally. It's a fun job, man. I actually worked here about 6 or 7 years ago. I worked here for about 2 years, and I had a lot of fun with it then. The only reason I'd left was it was just more or less I wanted something to be closer to the house and off the route that I was on, and there wasn't any openings for me to go to. So I was like, all right, well, you know what, I'm out. I did my 2 weeks notice and left. So at least when I came back, things were cordial between us, and I was immediately brought back. So it was nice to come back to a job again. It really is. And so I'm out doing that now. But the whole year in general sucked, and then the end of the year just really sucked. And there's just been a lot more things that have gone on. Unfortunately, my relationship pretty much fell apart. If there is anything there, it's barely there. If you can understand what I'm saying. We both pretty much come to the agreement that it's not working out the best, so it's just a lot of things have gone on. So mentally and physically, this whole year just weighed on me. And it got to the point where my depression was horrible. Depression was horrible. My anxiety was through the roof. My stress was through the roof. And I was just in general not a nice person to be around at that point. A lot of crap had happened, and it's just one thing after another, So somebody only takes so much before they finally blow up. And so I just pretty much disappeared off the face of the earth from everybody. Pretty much told my friends, don't worry about me. I'm going to disappear for a little while. I need to just do my own thing. And so that's what I ended up doing. And so I decided that it's time to make a comeback and at least let y'all guys know where I'm at. And at least post a video to let you guys know that I'm okay. And let you guys know that life is finally turning around, thank God. So basically, to answer the questions that I've seen on the comments, no, I'm no longer with Crete. I've noticed a lot of people say that they're leaving Crete now. I am no longer with them. I will never plan on going back to them again. This year has put a really sour taste in my mouth, and it's just not great. Am I doing okay mentally? I am now. Yes, I am. Am I gonna make more videos? I don't know. You tell me. This might be one. But yes, in all seriousness, I'll be making more videos. I'm finally back on the right train of thought, so more videos will be coming. They're not going to be as generalized as what the trucking videos were when I was doing Crete, but they're going to be basically trucking videos, but not OTR and stuff like that. It's going to be more of just talking about industry and whatever you guys want to talk about. As I've always said, I will do videos that my viewers request, and that is something I will always hold firm to, that whatever you guys request, I will do. So in general, if you guys have any video ideas of anything you want to see or anything like that, let me know. So, but with that being said, I hope this update video does suffice for what y'all were wondering. And if y'all have any more questions, drop them in the comments and I will actually answer the comments. But I am back. I will be making more videos. Let me know what you want to see. And this is Trucker Chris. It's great to see you guys again. Have a good one, guys.